and welcome back to the EWS show, an all-new show bringing you the inside line on the best mountain bike racing at each round of this year's Enduro World Series. Today we have returned after a 4-year hiatus to the EWS Petzen Jamnica in the Carinthia region of northern Slovenia and southern Austria. On today's show we'll be taking a look at all the action from this week's EWS and EWS-E racing. We meet up with local hero, Slovenian rider Vid Persak. But before we get started on all that, we've got the big ginger man from down under, Josh Carlson, back out on course to give you a pro's take on these monstrous stages. Josh is a seasoned EWS veteran who really knows his stuff. Let's see what he got up to out there on the course.
G'day trendsetters, welcome to Petzen, Austria. We're here for round 2 of the Enduro World Series. We're up here checking out stage 5, which is the final stage of the weekend. It's the biggest monster of this weekend's race. So we're going to head down for Carlson on course and break apart a few sections and see what the riders are thinking. Richie Rude, welcome back to Petzen, mate.
Yeah, good to be back.
This is a big mountain, big stages. We're looking at bulk time on this on the front side of the mountain here in Austria. What are you doing to adapt and prepare for these big stages?
I guess trying to ride like solid and just like a good pace, whatever works for you, I guess, to make it all the way, because you don't want to be too blown by the bottom, but of course you are going to be, so it'll be interesting to try and, like, you know, calm yourself up top to have enough for the bottom.
All right, so we're about a third of the way down, maybe a quarter of the way down our monster stage 5. We've just started descending the open clear-cut forest here through the bench cut. We come into this section here. It's one of the first sections of split lines that you can see these riders are starting to navigate. Now the dirt is starting to break up. There is a split line here. You can go to my right. You can go to my left. There's a line Cecile, Ravenel. Oh, snakes our way through the rocks. Oh, that was an amazing save. Bex, we're back here, round 2. How are you feeling back in the big mountains of Austria?
Yeah, it's meant to be back, and it's quite nice that it's dry as well, even though this morning was a little slippy. But it should dry up, I think.
Is there anything you're doing in particular to adjust for these bigger stages? So you got to deal with, like we said, 15, 17 minutes. What are you doing to handle that? What are you doing to save your hands?
Just stay caffeinated.
Caffeine for the win!
Pretty much. Yeah, just staying fuel through the day, staying hydrated. I don't do a lot of faffing bike setup. So yeah, and being wise with how, like, your line choices, where you start charging, if there's times when you're sort of maybe taking a little bit of a breather, because you can't go 16, 17 minutes full whack. So yeah, just being tactical.
All right, we're up here. We're doing a bit of split timing on this split section here. Greg Callaghan comes in. He goes the outside line. I'm a big fan of this one out here. I think it takes a lot of pressure off the arms. It's about a second faster from what I can see. Most people are going through this inside in about 8.5 seconds. But from this tree to the tree before the corner at the bottom, it's about 6 seconds, maybe 6.5 to go around the outside, and it's way less stress and pressure on the arms. Hey, Greg, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm a lot better now. You just told me I did the right line. Yeah, enjoying it. This is gnarly.
Are you looking for a pause here? What are you looking at here? Are you looking for a pause and just take a breath, or you want to get down here as quick and fast as possible?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Like, there is no let up, as you say. So I think, you know, if there is a line that's easier and arguably like half a second or so slower, I'd probably take the easier one to just have a little reset and try and make that half a second back in energy.
Well, I can't exactly give you a scientific measurement, but I can say from that tree to that tree, Evan was 8.7 seconds and you were 6.9. So if that helps, there you go. All right, guys, well, that's it. That's stage 5. That's our Carlson on course preview. As you heard from a lot of the riders, you're going to have to maintain your energy, be conservative in some bits, push in other bits. There's a bunch of lines to either save energy or push harder. It's a monster stage, and there's going to be a lot to digest as the riders tackle this massive day in Austria and Slovenia. So stay tuned for the racing on the weekend, and we'll see you trackside.
Thanks, Josh. These stages here in Petzen Jamnica really are going to test both the fitness and skills of our riders, and on top of an already big day out in the sun. Rather them than me. It is feeling very much back to the old school roots of enduro, with big epic descents and long days out on the bike spread out all over the Austro-Slovenian countryside. The adventurous spirit of enduro is alive and kicking. Now, without making you wait any longer, let's dive into the racing and find out how the race panned out this weekend for the pro men and pro women in the EWS Petzen Jamnica. Hello everyone, and you are all very welcome to our coverage of the second round of the 2022 Enduro World Series from EWS Petzen Jamnica. Racing kicked off on Saturday with a monstrous pro stage test in Austria and continued again today with a trio of Slovenian stages, shorter in length but full of really technical sections, before we return back across the border for a final huge stage on EWS Trail. Jesse Melamed set the fastest time with a 13-minute 3-second assault on Thriller. The Canadian second at the first round in Scotland and looking to be in superb form. Behind him then a familiar combo of Jack Moyer and Richie Rude. He and Rude, who won in Scotland, separated by just 2 seconds. As you can see then, some big rides, but Melamed, Moyer and Rude were out in front. In the pro women's category, it was Isabeau Courdurier who won the pro stage with a fantastic run. The Lapierre Zip Collective rider came second last time we were here in 2018 and was looking to finish 1 spot higher in 2022. Morgan Schär, the world number 2, came in just ahead of the winner of round 1, Ella Connolly. Connolly proving that she can run with the very best on these big, fast stages. After 1,000 vertical metres of descending then, this is how they stood. Courdurier led from Schär and Connolly. Come Sunday morning, it was time to pack the passports and head to Slovenia. Morgan Schär had obviously woken up on Sunday morning feeling punchy. The French racer set about reducing Isabeau Courdurier's lead by 2 seconds. Jack Moyer lost time on stage 2. The big Aussie shipped 8 seconds to his arch rival Richie Rude, who won the opening stage of the day. Melamed was second, only ceding 1.6 seconds to the 2-time champ. Ella Connolly kept the pressure on at the front by taking second on the stage. But out front, Isabeau Courdurier had warmed up and was now firing on all cylinders. She took the win and the points by 4 seconds from the Cannondale rider. Jesse Melamed was beginning to sense a final stage showdown and knew that his lead was good enough that keeping Rude in sight was all that mattered. The American won again on the Queen stage, but the Canadian was only 0.2 of a second behind him. Out front, it was all Courdurier, who took another stage win and built her lead still further. In the pro men's race, someone had to blink first. Louis Jondal was riding well and finished the stage third, but behind him there were fireworks. Jose Borges was second on the stage behind Jesse Melamed, but where was Rude? The Yeti Fox Factory team rider had been down right at the top of the stage. He finished right down in 30th position. That crash meant that Richie Rude was now just shy of 17 seconds back from Melamed. Jack Moyer was riding well and just ahead of Lukacic, who, over a stage as long as the EWS Trail, was right in the hunt. In the pro women's race, an amazing set of stage results in Slovenia meant that Isabeau Courdurier headed back to Austria with a lead of nearly 20 seconds from Morgan Schär. Ella Connolly had made the most of her morning and now had a comfortable lead ahead of Pujan for the last of the podium spots. One final test awaited, over 1,000 vertical metres of the EWS Trail. Morgan Schär had thrown the kitchen sink at the final stage, and after one of the most brutally long stages in EWS memory, she crossed the line just 0.7 of a second behind the woman who won on the stage and the race, Isabeau Courdurier. Courdurier had barely put a wheel wrong all day and crossed the line, having won 4 out of the 5 stages put in front of her. In the pro men's race, it was a question of what the often mercurial Rude could conjure up and how Melamed would handle the pressure. Richie Rude's hand had been blown off his bars during the previous evening's pro stage, yet it hadn't slowed him down. He's the kind of rider that can summon up the kind of runs that threaten to rotate the earth back on its axis. But today, he simply couldn't catch Jesse Melamed. Ruud was fourth on the stage, but the Rocky Mountain Race Face Riders' lead was simply too big after an absolutely superb day on the stages. Jesse had placed first or second on all but one of the stages and turned in an unbeatable scorecard. Moyer's confidence had visibly returned throughout the weekend, and he was rewarded with third place in the overall as a result. Isabeau Courdurier reigned supreme in the pro women's race then, with a winning time 20 seconds to the good. Morgan Schauer was the only other rider to win a stage and came home in second, whilst Ella Connolly was third. After a strong couple of days out, Jesse Melamed takes the lead in the overall title race away from his rival Ruud. And it's Courdurier also ascending to the top in the women's overall race after her win here. With 3 riders finishing in the top 10 today here in Petzen Jamnica, it is Pivot Factory Racing who now sit at the top of our team's championship. There we go then, one of the biggest courses we've had in a long time. The riders will be tired, they'll be sore, they'll be emotional. What they need is a big dose of unbridled Aussie enthusiasm. Let's find out who Josh caught up with in the pits.
All right, guys, we just finished round 2 here in Austria Petzen. The vibes are high and the beers are flowing. Let's go and have a look in the pits and see how everyone's day went. Jesse Melamed, numero uno. How does that feel, mate?
Really good. After a lot of second places and barring COVID since 2017, I feel like feels really good to win. I mean, it feels good to ride fast, and it feels good that when you scare yourself, it's the fastest, I guess.
Now, that was a brutal way to do it. How did you manage that Petzen monster?
For that last stage, man, it was just like, just be as patient as possible, even though you feel like you're bleeding time, because at some point your arm's just gonna blow up. And it was like halfway down, I was in those corners, and I was like, there's so many corners left. And then I liked it though, because I felt like I saved a bit more for the end, so I could actually ride and have a bit more fun. Because yesterday was like I was a passenger, and a scary, scary passenger. So I was hyped. It was fun. It feels good to cross the line into a big corral like that, and then they say it goes into the lead, and you're like, oh, all the work pays off.
All right, we're just wandering through the pits here. I've been looking for Ella Connolly and her entire pit setup. Oh, here we are. We've got her. It's hard to notice over here. Ella, mate, hi. You're here with all your... Do you mind if I interrupt you and your team's debrief?
That's busy, actually.
I know. I was going to take a ticket, but... Good job, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks, yeah.
How was your day?
Savage, like just so hot. Like the stages were like either really, really flat and pedally, or just like 14 minutes long, which is, hard.
The entire race day in Scotland in one race.
Exactly. Can we have the short stages back?
No, don't say that. No way. So we're gonna wander into the SRAM Racing NUKEPROOF pits over here. We heard they had a bit of a seafood incident. They saw some food and they ate it. Keelan, mate, how did you go with the calamari?
I might have sampled a few pieces, yeah.
What's the body weight today?
Oh, right down to e-bike weight now.
Race weight? Now, there's another question. G'day, mate. Hey, Sam, how'd you go with the calamari?
Yeah, there's a bit over there in the grass, I think.
You're looking lean?
Bit lighter after this morning.
What made you think that was a good idea in a landlocked country? A nice bit of sea calamari.
To be honest, some other lady had it. It looked delicious. So me and Keelan just committed. And I was up all night with like fever and sweats and feeling like I was going to spew, and then finally made it to the grass over there this morning.
Pretty rude. Good job, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Second place. Gotta be happy with that.
Well, how does that feel to get second place? You won Scotland. It was a tough, hard-fought battle all the way to the end. It was clean. I'm sure it stings, but does it feel good?
Yeah, it does. Of course it stings. Like, once you win, you want to win again. But like, for how the big series went for me, I think it's definitely, win for me. Like, I felt good on the weekend, and the stuff in Slovenia, I rode that well and it showed. And so yeah, just being able to hold on to the big stuff and kind of land it behind Jesse was definitely good.
So you win at EWS, you think you're going to be lathered in riches and gold and carried around in a big king's chair, but what does a champion do? No, she comes and helps her team pack up the tent like the ultimate professional that she is. Can I distract you from your chores if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's okay.
I can wait. Yeah, are you sure?
No,
do I need to ask the boss?
It's okay.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you very much. I'm super happy.
How was your day?
It's been tough, but I think for everyone, and for the first stage, I was sure I was losing some time, so I was really surprised when I've seen afterwards that I was still in the lead. So super happy about this, but I think everyone, it was quite a long day.
Well, there you have it, guys. We've seen from the races themselves the very words straight out of their mouth after a massive day here in Petzen in Slovenia. It's been an epic race. There's lots to talk about. There's a lot of excited people. There's some fantastic results, some fantastic rides. We're going to go and catch up with Rick here and do some deep dive analysis, so stay tuned.
Josh, you have just hot-footed it from the pits to be here by the lake with me. Let's talk about the big one, maybe Jesse Melamed. What a result. And the deeper you look at it, the more impressive it becomes.
There's a lot of positives there for Jesse. He had a huge battle with Richie just a couple of weeks ago in Scotland. He's been that bridesmaid a couple of times. He's won in Whistler before, but this result here really cements that ability for Jesse Melamed to grow into that championship contender that he's had that potential to be over the last couple of seasons. I mean, this race here had all the pressure, and it was a fair, clean fight between him and Richie Rude, two of our biggest athletes we have right now, to come down to that final stage, one of the biggest stages we've seen in years. The physicality of it, the technical nature, how brutal it was, how rough it was. There were so many things stacked up against Jesse to make this happen, and all the pressure was on his shoulders, and he stood up, handled it like a champion that he's becoming, and came out on top.
It's interesting you say that because, I mean, you know, long-time fans of the EWS, they'll remember whenever Sam Hill used to win them and what his trademark move was to, you know, pump 20 seconds into everybody in the first stage and then manage that lead. Yeah. Jesse didn't do that. He was in the top two on all but one stage. Yep. Really attacked from the front, but rode sensibly on as well. If you're going to talk about Richie Rude's preferred battlefield, you would say with a monstrous final stage where he can find time on people, and he couldn't find it today.
And not to mention throwing Jack in the mix as well. He was right there.
We need to talk about Jack because he came here, he turned up here, and there was a lot of talk in the pits that he was doing a bit of puzzling. The confidence wasn't quite there. A new bike, very, very small for him. Yep. You know, he was searching for some numbers, but this lived on that confidence a world of good.
And to go through that first race and survive, make that happen, he hasn't had the preparation of a lot of these other athletes, which in one regard is exceptional to see him back on the podium already. 23rd in Scotland, I think that was a great result for what he came into the season with. To turn that around in 2 weeks with a brand new bike, he went away puzzling, he swapped his frame, he chased some numbers, the team believed in him, and he came here with a new controlled package that he believed in, and look where it ended him up. He ended up straight back on the podium, right back in the hunt, and all of a sudden, Jack Moyer is a championship contender.
Well, now let's talk about pro women's race. If you're one of the top 5 in the pro women's rankings, you're looking at that performance from Isabeau Courdurier and you're going, uh-oh, the Jaws music's playing, isn't it?
Big time. Big time. For her to come back, and she's had her battles last year, and she's been working on her fitness, she's on a new team, new bike, to come back here. She's on the poster when we come into town. There's a lot of pressure there.
Isabeau, she won 4 out of 5 stages. Only person to take one off her, Morgan Shaw, world number 2. I mean, you don't want to belittle it at all. That's the performance we expect from Morgan, just competent, fast, everywhere. Ella Connolly now, she's lost the yellow leader's plate, but she'll come away with this, I think, with a lot of confidence. A very different set of circumstances to her native Scotland. I know she has spent a lot of time in the Tweed Valley prior to round 1. She's come here, same page as everyone else.
Yep.
Good result. Josh, we talked a lot about some really, really big performances, but I think the big one, the big talking point is we go to Val di Fassa next. You know, we go to the Dolomites, big mountain territory, but what's fascinating about that for me is that that's a venue they all know well now. So we're going somewhere where, like, the chains are off, aren't they?
The chains are off, and all of our big 3 players that are emerging right now have showcased their talents in Val di Fassa before. Jack and Richie had a huge battle last year. We had double rounds last year in Val di Fassa. At some point, they're going to start to get tired, and in Val di Fassa, it's going to be hot. There's heat wave conditions throughout Europe at the moment, so that fatigue's really going to creep in when you've got all these big stages that they're all used to just because you've seen it. When you've got to race for 13, 14 minutes, whew, it just adds a whole nother element that changes the entire game.
Okay, well, look forward to joining what is left of Josh and I at the EWS Val di Fassa in just a couple of days' time. Now, we did follow one man this week who had potentially slightly more weight on his shoulders than anyone else, and that was a local rider, Vid Persak, riding for Orbea Fox. We followed him throughout the week to find out just what goes into these massive, massive Enduro World Series days.
I'm Vid Persak. I am 25 years old. I am coming from Slovenia, actually from Petzen Jamnica region, and I'm racing for BA Enduro team. It's my 4th year as a pro rider, so I'm stoked to be back home racing. Right now we are staying at the northeast of Slovenia. It's called the Courdurier region and internationally more known as the Carinthia region. And we are also close to the Austrian borders. That's why the EWS race we are doing this week, it's based one part in Slovenian side, Jamnica, and the other part is in Austrian side on Petzen. The main difference would be Petzen, it's a big hill, it's a proper mountain with 1,000 meters of descending. And then on the other side, Jamnica side, we are riding a little bit more mellow single tracks, which are not super hard to ride, but still like super hard to get a speed and just ride fast. To have a home race like EWS just here in front of my house, it's something special. It's something you don't get to do many times in your career, and not many athletes get a chance to race at the home, you know. I think it's a big chance for me, and also like something special for me, because there will be a lot of my friends here, my family, so everybody will be stoked for me to ride, and I'll be stoked to ride as well.
They just finished best last time here, so you speed right there.
So start earlier. You're very fast, you tell me.
Yeah, I was riding like really good, really confident coming in, but then in one corner like hit my front tire, like went off the course, like blew, and I had like steam like this all the way down there. It sucks.
And that's where the problems will start just now. See this? Bad. Bike flew down.
You lost it?
Yeah, and then Katie, she found it and brought it down. She had a flat tire or something.
I was thinking a lot about this hometown advantage, and I don't think it's like really much of an advantage anymore, because everybody can go super fast on the second run. Like they all gonna try the tracks, they're gonna watch your GoPros and everything. When I was racing here last time, I was a privateer. I ended up 5th, which was quite a breakout result for me. Coming into this race, definitely there's more expectations from everybody. I think it's gonna be additional boost for me, not the pressure. I'm not scared to go racing here. It's just like another race, you know. After all, we are only racing bikes. I did many mistakes, but I'm still pleased because pretty much everybody out there was there cheering for me. I think it's amazing. It's one of a kind opportunity you get, so I enjoy it, and I'm super stoked to have everything here. So thank you.
Stick back up.
Thanks to Vid for sharing some local knowledge with us. It truly is a beautiful part of the world and has provided us the canvas for some amazing bike racing this weekend. A tough day out there for Vid, but I'm sure he was soaking up the local crowd's applause nonetheless. A great rider, maybe a bit more practice on the handbrake turns there, mate. Now it's time for us to get deep into some detail here. Neil Donoghue is back with his rather colourful stat attack. This week he's been looking into where our EWS winners started out in mountain biking. Come on then, Neil, let's hear what you have unearthed for us this week.
Ella Connolly's maiden victory a couple of weeks ago at round 1 got me thinking about the EWS winners and where they come from. Ella comes from near Fort William in Scotland, but I don't mean that, I mean their racing background, because Ella is a previous cross-country racer on the British development team with other top racers like Annie Last and current cross-country world champion Evie Richards. Ella was a mega successful under-21 EWS racer, so arguably she's more experienced enduro racer now than anything else. In the early days of enduro racing, it was generally accepted that the ex-downhill racers dominated, but was that actually true? And is it still true these days? So let's take a dive into if EWS winners have ever won in downhill or any other type of mountain bike racing. EWS winners that have won other things. Let's start with downhill, and I'm talking people that have won a World Cup or World Champs. Fabian Burrell, Nicholas Villiers, Tracy Mosley and Caroline Chausson. Richie Rude, technically it was a junior world title, but that counts, them kids are fast. Sam Hill, Morgan Shaw, Martin Mays, though technically he raced enduro at high level first, then went to downhill. The wrong way around, Martin, come on, don't you know the rules? Cross country, well this is a short list really. 0 previous cross country World Cup winners have won an EWS. Although Cecile Ravenel, the EWS racer with the most wins, 23, used to race the cross country World Cup and was French national champion and has 3 podiums at the XC Eliminator, and she was the junior world champion. Now on to some all-rounders, starting with 4-cross. Jared Graves has been a 4-cross world champion. He's also very nearly won a World Cup downhill at Angel Fire, he came 2nd. He also rode the BMX Olympics in Beijing. Brian Lopes has won the Masters category, the self-proclaimed most winningest mountain biker in the world. Now for probably the best all-rounder of all time, and Caroline Chausson, 12-time world downhill champion, dual slalom world champion, 4-cross world champion, and BMX Olympic champion. That's just the winners, but it's pretty clear that ex-downhill racers transition the best to enduro. There's a whole host more that maybe didn't quite win a World Cup downhill but have won an EWS, like Jack Moyer and Justin Leof. As far as I know, there haven't been any EWS winners from successful competitive trials backgrounds yet, but maybe Danny or Fabio should have a go.
Thanks, Neil. It is a little disconcerting seeing the Don's face full screen, but I've heard he now does specifically request it for contractually we've got no option. There are plenty of interesting backgrounds amongst our racers, and often many of them continue to compete in different disciplines. And we are now seeing more and more people coming into our sport as career enduro riders, as the EWS continues to go from strength to strength. And we haven't stopped there with our launch of the exciting new e-bike race series, the EWS-E in 2020. A fast-growing and exciting new format of racing. This weekend in Petzen Jamnica, the racers were really put to the test with 61 kilometres of riding to deal with and a monster 5-kilometre stage to finish the day on. Let's see how our racers got on in the EWS-E Petzen Jamnica. The second round of the 2022 EWS-E series took place in not one but 2 countries. Welcome to the EWS-E Petzen Jamnica from Austria and Slovenia. And what a course too. Definitely one of the most brutal we have seen. 61 kilometres awaited the racers, 2 brutal stages to start and finish the day in Austria and 5 in Slovenia. Between them, just 1 power stage to contend with on stage 5. The first stage started with a chairlift up the Petzen mountain. Thriller awaited. It's not just the course that's big here in Austria and Slovenia, the stages are monstrous. Stage 1, Thriller lived up to its name. Antoine Roguet led from round 1 winner Edgar Carballo Gonzalez by just 2 seconds on a 7-minute stage. There was huge drama in the pro women's race. Pre-race favourite Laura Charles was out.
Yeah, I was riding good and maybe I hit something, I don't know. it was a rocks or roots, but it hit my derailleur and it broke directly. So I tried to continue the stage till the finish line, but impossible because my derailleur go into my wheel, so I cannot continue the race.
And if the men's race was tight, then the pro women's was even tighter. Less than a second separated Flo Espinera and Alia Marcellini at the front. The winner of the first ever EWS-E, Yannick Pontal, took control of the pro men's race with a win on stage 4. Only 0.2 of a second separated him and Antoine Rouge. Carballo Gonzalez was third on the same second in third. For the first time in EWS-E history, there were 4 different winners on the first 4 stages. Espinera was out front and consolidating her lead. It was now out to 8 seconds. The power stage awaited. Sophia Wiedenroth won the power stage for Specialized to move herself up into second place in the overall behind Orbea's Espinera. The unpredictability of the pro men's race continued. The 5th winner of 5 was Jerome Guillou on the power stage. In a race that was now proving hard to keep up with, Thiago Ladera was now in the lead. Pontal was less than a second back, and Roger was now 2.4 seconds off in third. Edgar Carballo Gonzalez won his first ever EWS-E at the previous round in Scotland. The Spaniard was second on stage 6 behind Roger. Ladera now led by 1.6 seconds. Marcellini won the stage to move up into second. Espinera still had the lead by 13 seconds. After 6 brutal stages, the very toughest of Austrian and Slovenian stages couldn't separate the EWS-E racers. The huge EWS trail awaited and would decide the race. Flo Espinera lost 22 seconds on the final stage with a crash near the top, which left Alia Marcellini to take her very first EWS-E win.
Today the race started really good. I feel good on the first stage, but after on the second, third and fourth, I did a lot of mistakes. I like a lot the 6th and the 7th, so I give it all on these 2 stages.
Sophia Wiedenroth also managed to edge ahead of Espinera after that crash and picked up second. In the pro men's, in a race that had never settled in one racer's favour, it was Yannick Pontal who powered through with an unreal performance on the last stage to take the win. Big course here this weekend as well. How tough was it?
Yeah, it was a big course. I was tired. Yesterday was not good, and today I told me, yeah, manage the race because it will be a long ride. It was really tight before the last stage, and I managed my stage, and I think it's okay. But it was so hard.
Thiago Ladera shipped 7 seconds to the Frenchman who won the last stage to seal the victory. Edgar Carballo Gonzalez finished off a superb day on the podium in third. In the overall then, a disappointing day at the office means that Laura Charles is down in 4th. Back-to-back podiums mean that Alia Marcellini has her hands on the coveted yellow plate. Edgar Carballo Gonzalez holds onto his yellow plate and the lead in the overall. Yannick Pontal is up into second spot and Andrea Garibo is now third. In the team's overall then, Orbea Fox Enduro team lead the way from Miranda Factory Racing. And that's it from us here at the EWS show this week. Join us next week when we will be bringing you all the action from the EWS Val di Fassa. Val di Fassa is a beautiful high alpine location. Last time out it was a double round that saw a huge battle between Richie Rude and Jack Moyer in the men's race, and it was Isabeau Courdurier and Melanie Pujan who were trading blows in the women's race. However it plays out next week, I am sure that we are in for an absolute treat. Thanks for watching and we'll see you then.